And good morning from Mission Control in Houston and the International Space Station Flight Control Room at the Johnson Space Center, where at this hour, flight controllers working with their colleagues at the Russian Mission Control Center in the town of Korolyov on the outskirts of Moscow are preparing to bid farewell to three of the crew members on board the International Space Station for their return back to Earth on the Soyuz MS-25 spacecraft. The Soyuz MS-25, which is docked to the Prishal node module, which in turn is linked to the Nyoka multipurpose laboratory module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station, is the ticket home tonight for NASA's Tracy Dyson and two Russian cosmonauts from Roscosmos, Oleg Kononenko and Nikolai Chub. Kononenko and Chub are completing an ISS record 374 days in space since they were launched over a year ago in September of 2023. Tracy Dyson is wrapping up a mission of 184 days in duration, 182 days aboard the International Space Station. And there's our view inside the cramped quarters of the Prishal module. As you see, Oleg Kononenko, the Soyuz commander in the green shirt. On the right is NASA astronaut Mike Barrett, Tracy Dyson, bidding farewell to Ivan Wagner that you see in the red shirt. As Kononenko and company, there's Nikolai Chub right behind Kononenko. The departing crew saying farewell to the space station crew that remains on board the International Space Station. Once Kononenko, Chub, and Dyson move into the Soyuz vehicle, the hatch to the Prishal module will be closed, and then a few minutes later, the hatch to the Soyuz vehicle will be closed. You can see in the red shirt by the hatchway is Alexei Ovchinin, who launched 12 days ago, along with Don Pettit and Ivan Wagner, on the Soyuz MS-26 spacecraft from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. Tracy Dyson launched back in March. Her return on Monday morning will wrap up her third flight into space and will give her an aggregate total of 373 days in space on her 3 space flights. In the blue shirt in the foreground is cosmonaut Alexander Grebenkin, part of the Crew 8 crew that will be returning to Earth on a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft in early October. And there, the 3 departing crew members have now left the International Space Station Prishal module. They are inside Soyuz, waving goodbye as they will make final preparations. Once the hatches are closed, the crew will perform a series of initial leak checks at the docking interface between the Soyuz and the Prishal module before they will don their Sokol launch and entry suits. The 3 departing crew members will be in the descent module, the center section of the 3-section Soyuz vehicle. Kononenko, as the Soyuz commander, will be in the center seat, flanked on his left by Nikolai Chub, who is board engineer number 1 for the entry and landing operations. Tracy Dyson will be on Kononenko's right as board engineer number 2. The Spaceflight Meteorology Group here at the Johnson Space Center has issued a forecast for landing, which again in Kazakhstan will be about an hour and 13 minutes before sunset on Monday. The initial forecast calls for scattered clouds at 8,000 feet, 28,000 feet, gusty winds, but temperatures around 73 degrees. So the hatch to the Soyuz now closed at 12:02 a.m. and now the hatch to the Prashal module being closed. So we have hatch closure at 12:02 a.m. Central Time, 1:02 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday morning. With the closing of the hatches, leak checks will get underway a short time from now. The crew will then don their Sokol launch and entry suits and begin a series of communications checks with the Russian flight control team at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov on the outskirts of Moscow. Standing by for undocking, and there it is.
11:20, 36:20, separation is confirmed.
Physical separation confirmed. The Soyuz MS-25 is free of its mooring.
Please.
Expedition 71 is in the history books. Expedition 72 officially underway.
Copy.
Спасибо. MS-25. Спасибо. Спасибо.
Thank you. And we wish you successful landing. Thank you, Alexei. All those guys who are on the station, thank you so much. And see you on the ground.
Expedition 72 Commander Sonny Williams ringing the traditional bell on board the station to herald the departure of the Soyuz MS-25. The first of the two separation burns, an 8-second burn of the Soyuz engines, coming up at 3:39 and 30 seconds a.m. Central Time. Undocking occurring over eastern Mongolia.
Three minutes after separation and depot thrusters are firing. 4 seconds.
This is the first of the two separation burns.
The indicator is not illuminated. Now maneuver is confirmed. It's 3.5 degrees. Copy.
First of the two separation burns was reported to be nominal. A slight roll in the Soyuz as planned to put it in the correct orientation for the second of the two separation burns coming up in just about a minute.
We have attitude readiness flag. Copy.
The second of the two burns will be 15 seconds in duration.
It will be the second burn at 4:20, and it will be for 15 seconds. Copy. Please provide a running commentary. We do not have video. We are observing station. We can see station in the crosshairs through the The periscope 4:15 after separation. Now we're receiving the video on the ground. And DPO is firing at 4.
And the second separation burn underway. And the burn is now complete and good.
The burn is complete. Copy. 15 seconds. Copy.
About 2 hours and 23 minutes from now will be the deorbit burn.
It is sent.
That will enable the Soyuz to drop out of orbit. That will occur at the time that the Soyuz is about 41 kilometers away from the International Space Station.
Copy. In work.
And via Roscosmos television, you can see the Soyuz descending under its main parachute. That white vapor that you see venting is normal. That white vapor is a combination of hydrogen peroxide and oxygen venting into the air. This is deliberate to safe the vehicle for landing so that no hazardous gases remain in the tanks when the soft landing engines fire about 2 seconds before the vehicle touches down. There is the jettisoning of the heat shield right on time. This exposes the altimeter that feeds information into the Soyuz computers about how high up the Soyuz is as it descends under its parachute. Landing scheduled just under 10.5 minutes from now. It also exposed the soft landing engines, which will fire about 2 seconds before touchdown in a final braking maneuver. And the sound you hear is a radio beacon signal that is being received from the Soyuz, basically another form of communications capability to enable the search and recovery forces to precisely pinpoint where the Soyuz is descending to for its touchdown point. Less than a minute until touchdown.
This is 451, 300 meters.
300 meters off the deck. At this point, the 3 crew members will be bracing for touchdown.
Unintelligible.
Touchdown. Right on the money. A textbook touchdown on the steppe of Kazakhstan at 6:59 a.m. Central Time, 7:59 a.m. Eastern Time, 4:59 p.m. at the landing site in Kazakhstan. Tracy Dyson is home after 184 days in space. Oleg Kononenko and Nikolai Chub are home after 374 days in space, a record for an International Space Station mission.
Here we can see the first Soyuz crew member coming out the capsule.
And the first crew member, likely Oleg Kononenko, the Soyuz commander, being helped out of the center seat. And there he is. 374 days in space on this flight, waving to the crowd. 1,111 days in space on his 5 space flights.
Please be careful. Slow.
He's now coming down the slide, and then he'll be moved into his chair over right in front of the capsule, where he'll be checked out by some of his Roscosmos medical personnel and others. And then it looks like they're already working to get the next crew member out. And looks like our next crew member is coming out. Should be Tracy Dyson.
Here comes Tracy.
And there's NASA astronaut Tracy Dyson making her way out. She's turning around, and then she'll go down the slide. All smiles on her face currently as she's being helped out. And now Tracy Dyson is being helped over to her chair. Well, she'll get those initial medical checks before they move into the orange medical tent about 50 yards away from here.
Dyson wrapping up 184 days in space, 373 days on her third space flight.
That's it, thank you.
And there's Nikolai Chub, wrapping up the first flight in his career. A record-setting 374 days aboard the International Space Station, the longest flight along with Kononenko for a single flight on the orbital outpost. 1 year ago, Sergei Prokopyev, Dmitry Petelin, and NASA's Frank Rubio wrapped up 371 days in space. Kononenko and Chub eclipsed that mark last Friday. Roses were given to Tracy Dyson by Oleg Novitsky, who was the Soyuz commander with whom she launched with back in March on what amounted to a taxi flight for Novitsky and Belarus spaceflight participant Marina Vasilevskaya. That was the crew that brought Laurel O'Hara home after her 6 months aboard the International Space Station. And again, Tracy Dyson accepting congratulations from members of the search and recovery forces. Within the next few minutes, these three crew members, having conducted a perfect entry and landing on the steppe of Kazakhstan, will be carried in their chairs into this nearby inflatable medical tent to get out of their Sokol launch and entry suits and into more comfortable clothing.
So all three crew members are now out. They're sitting in their chairs for a few brief moments. So since Tracy Dyson was extracted from the capsule, she's had time to have a brief medical check, and then she also had the chance to call some family and friends. And then, of course, she's received these gifts, and just a short while from now, we should see them carry off into the medical tent about 50 yards away, that big orange tent. Well, they'll do some additional medical evaluations, do some field tests, and also change out of their entry and landing suit into a more comfortable flight suit for that ride back to Karakonda. From there, Tracy Dyson and the rest of the NASA personnel will board the NASA Gulfstream, and then we will begin our journey back to Houston, expecting to arrive in Houston early Tuesday morning. And then, of course, the Roscosmos crewmates will also board their respective plane once we are back at Karakonda.
Вы готовы? Четвертый сейчас нам где-нибудь выдаст. У нас трое, нам нужно 4 человека.
Так, кто у нас? Так, четвертого человека сюда надо. Вот, давай, давай. Смотри, что ты. Хорошо. Так, данные у Виктории. Вечера с нами! Вечера с нами!